Every day, thousands of people injure themselves through lifting objects in a way that places too much stress on the body. By applying the principles of the Alexander technique to lifting, you can find a better, safer way to lift and avoid the pain. I'm Pete Robinson from movementandposture.com. I'm a qualified Alexander technique teacher, and I'm really pleased to be able to share the benefits that Alexander technique can bring to your posture, movement, health and performance. I release new videos every Sunday, so subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell so you don't miss out. In this video, I'll explain the Alexander technique approach to lifting and then take you through some examples. It's all pretty simple, which means that you should be able to get the hang of it really quickly and put it into use straight away. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that there are some ideas which keep coming up. Being aware of your whole self, your balance, your habits, and avoiding unnecessary tension and compression. These ideas are really key to being able to make permanent improvements to the way that you move, and of course the more areas of your life that you apply these principles to, the more skilled you get at making these improvements. The Alexander technique approach to lifting is that your main priorities are staying aware of the whole self so you can notice what's going on accurately, deciding to not allow that movement to happen in your habitual way, and then making the movement without losing balance or compressing yourself. If when you start to lift the object, you find that you are losing that general awareness, are going out of balance or compressing yourself, you would just stop and start again. I'm going to take you through 3 levels of lifting so that you can fully understand this process. You'll see that it works in exactly the same way regardless of how heavy the object is or where you're lifting it from. If I have to lift an object from a table, for instance to put it up onto a shelf or in a cupboard, my habitual way of moving may well include bending forwards by curving my spine. This causes my body to compress and go out of balance. This would then mean that the muscles in my legs, back, shoulders and neck have to tighten to compensate. As I then use my arms to lift the object, even more tension is put into these muscles. Although the object is light, if the movement is awkward enough, it may still be enough to cause pain or even a minor injury, such as a muscle spasm. So, if I were to use the Alexander technique to lift the object, I'll be doing several things. Firstly, I would stop and refuse to let my habitual movement take place. Next, I would choose to become really aware of the whole of myself so I can accurately tell what's going on in my body. Then I would prioritize being in balance, releasing my weight down into the ground through my feet. I would also make the decision to not compress or fix any part of myself so that the natural expansion upwards and outwards can remain in my body and that I'm free to move. I'm now in a good state to start the movement. I'm going to move so that I'm holding the object, but I'm going to keep prioritizing being aware of myself, staying in balance and not compressing or stiffening myself as being more important than reaching the object. If my movement causes me to lose awareness, lose balance or compress myself in any way, then I'll stop and start again. By following this simple instruction, changing the priority from what you are doing to how you are doing it, you have a chance of breaking your old habits and discovering better ways of moving. Once I have the object, I will again prioritize awareness, balance and not compressing myself. I'll stand up to full height, keep the object close to my body. I'm including the weight of the object into my own weight and balance, and I'm expecting it to be supported by the floor rather than grabbing the weight in my muscles. As I go to lift the object, the same principles apply. I'm keeping my awareness, balance and decision to not compress as the top priority. And as a result, the object becomes supported by the floor and my body is able to move in a coordinated way with the minimum effort. Hopefully that made sense to you. It may take a few goes to really get the idea, but you should fairly quickly be able to notice that lifting in this way is much easier. Let's up our game a bit now and lift something from the floor. Firstly, a light weight so that we can practice the movement with less chance of straining yourself if you get it wrong. To pick up the object, I'll use exactly the same process as before. The only difference is that we need to travel downwards in space much more. For most people, a downward movement in the body is achieved by bending the spine, losing balance, and using a lot of tension and compression. If we move in this way, it's no wonder that as we get older, we rapidly find that moving to the floor becomes more and more difficult or even impossible. The way our body is designed to lower itself is by folding the legs up, not compressing the spine. To do this, we have to keep our knees releasing forwards while our hips release backwards. I'll go into some detail about this movement in my video about sitting posture, so if you fancy checking that out, I'll link to it above and in the description. So, as before, I stop, refusing to let my old habitual way of moving happen. Again, I prioritise awareness of my whole self, my balance, and deciding to allow my body to expand and be free. As before, I keep those priorities while I make the movement downwards until I reach the object. Of course, if I realise that I've lost my awareness, balance, or stiffened up at any point, I would abandon the movement, reset, and start again. I'm now low enough to get a good hold on the object, and as before, I keep the same priorities and stand up to full height whilst allowing the weight of the object to release through me into the ground. By moving in this way, you are never out of balance or trying to lift the object while already holding muscles tight, so the chance of hurting yourself is massively reduced. Unsurprisingly, it's exactly the same process, but the stakes are higher because if you try to lift the object while you're out of balance and the muscles and joints already have excessive pressure on them, you stand a much greater chance of injury. Only attempt this if you feel like you've mastered the process. Getting set up for the lift is the same as in the other examples. Moving down in space is the same as with the lighter weight. As you go to stand up, really make sure that you are allowing the weight of the object to be transmitted through your skeleton and into the ground. Don't attempt to grab the object by stiffening the arms. Just slowly straighten your legs to stand up and all of your muscle groups and joints will work in a natural, coordinated way. If you feel like you can't safely lift the object because it's making you lose balance or tense up, then abandon the mission and get someone else to help you. A huge number of lifting injuries result from unnecessary heroics. When you are practicing these movements, you're breaking habits that you've had for years. This can take quite a bit of effort and it may be difficult at first as your habits will be really strong. Of course, once you've got the hang of it, your improved way of moving makes it much less likely that you'll hurt yourself lifting things. Lifting things also becomes much easier and you're able to retain your strength and mobility into your later years. I hope that all made sense. Give it a try, and if you have any questions or comments, drop me a line below. If you found this video useful, hit the thumbs up to let me know and have a look at some of the other videos on the channel. As always, let me know if you have any other topics you'd like me to cover in a future video. Bye for now.